What's up, y'all? Party people. How is everybody doing? What are we? Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday to you. Hopefully everybody's having a fantastic week so far. Sean Shannon here, fired up to spend a little bit of time with you guys as we watch these numbers roll on up. It is exciting. You guys are all a part of the biggest team in all of symmetry, breaking records, making some magic happen. Fired up, honored to be Sharon, kind of pouring into everybody here. It's interesting. I have been here. It'll be 12 years coming up in a few months. So pretty wild to just see. Every time I'm on here, I'm kind of in awe because 12 years ago, this was not like this at all. There weren't hundreds of people on any call, let alone, just the Wayland call. So, as I said, Sean Shannon, very, very humbled and honored to be here. Sharon pouring in. I've got some great guests for all of you guys to hear from. Today, what we're going to be talking about is hitting those promotions. So staying promotion focused. We're going to give you as much as we've got in terms of tips, tricks, hacks, paths, all kinds of things, maybe even some booby traps that folks have fallen into. Because the cool thing about this business, and I was talking to somebody in an interview the other day, and they were talking about how they've been at this job a year, right? They've been at this job that they have a year, right? Corporate job. And they were like, I feel like I'm doing well. I feel like I'm picking it up. I feel like I'm grasping some things. So I went in and I was just like, well, what's the kind of the path or the track for promotions, for getting raises, for getting, things higher up? And they said, do not even talk to us for at least a year about any promotions. And you may be able to get a small percentage raise, but for what we like to call level of leadership promotions, they said it's going to be more like 5 years. And this is a big company. And I just wanted you guys to think about that. It's like in perspective, what we have to offer, how dynamically different that is. You can get a 5% raise here every 2 months. At the beginning, you can do it on monthly clips. So pretty awesome that you're at a place where you can do that. The problem is too, you actually give yourself the raise. It's you going through and qualifying, which puts you there. So that's what we're going to focus on today. Help you guys get there. So we got a bunch of folks. Everybody's jumping in. Let me share my screen before we kick off. We're going to jump in, do some leaderboards, do some stuff like that, some recognition, because that's what it's all about. Is celebrating the success of those that are getting after it, using the same exact vehicle that we all have the opportunity to drive. So it's pretty cool too, because you can't really deny success when you see it right there. People doing the exact same things. They might just be doing it a little bit differently, a little bit better, a little bit more, right? So those are all kind of some of the tips and tricks too, but we'll talk more about that. Let me share my screen here. Let me find the old PowerPoint. It's amazing how good at technology we have all become since the old COVID. So all right, away we go. So we're going to jump on in. Let's check out some of this cool stuff. Production leaders, we run these, y'all. They're about a week delayed. So this wasn't the end of last week. It was the end of the previous week. So really, which was the end of March. So a lot of folks finishing strong for the month of March. Top 10 personal producers in the entire Wayland hierarchy. So number 10, Nate Ramirez. Oh, that was pretty cool. I actually saw Nate on a call last Friday. So way to go, buddy. $12,002. So way to go there, Nate. Ashley Richard, 12,458. I am certain that she's been on these leaderboards many, many times. Jennifer Giovanni, there you go. Jennifer Giovanni, way to go. 12,896 for the week. Brandon Carter, 13,440. Party Jen Parkhurst, 14,711. Way to go there, Jen P. Daniel Knuckles, that's a great name. 15,556 for the week. Dennis Roca, $16,145. Elsa Yanez, 16,934. Jake Van Duzen, another guy. Man, you see him here all the time. $22,190. Way to go. I think he was probably like on a carrier trip half that time too. So way to go, my man. And then Margaret Bonds Jensen, $25,223 for the week. So for those of you guys that are brand new, or for those of you guys that are kind of, really kind of now connecting and trying to learn all about this, best thing you can do just to kind of, because some of you guys might be like, what does that even mean? 25,000 in a week? What does that look like? What does that look like in the bank account? Because that's nice seeing something on the leaderboards like that, but what does it actually mean? Like, what did Margaret Bonds Jensen do after she did all that? Well, you take that APV, you conservatively divide it by 2. That's going to be your weekly income. So what did Margaret Bonds Jensen do at the end of the week? She probably did whatever she wanted to do. She can go on all kinds of like elaborate spending sprees and do all kinds of stuff. Or she might have doubled down, getting after it, hitting more promotions, doing stuff like that, got some more leads, made it happen again. So way to go, y'all. If you guys wrote an app last week or you wrote a whole bunch of apps for the week, congratulations. Let's see now. Recruiting leaderboards. This, more than anything else, is a builder's call. The reason being is that Marsh Wayland has built the biggest organization in all of Symmetry. We're all blessed to be able to, to do the same thing, but also to participate in the same activities and leverage, the leaders that have been cultivated here. Man, that's what's so good. So, but here's some of the folks that are out there sharing the plan, growing their business. Agency owners, Austin and Sammy Wayland, good job. 4 licensed recruits for the week. Travis Stevens, 5. Steve Montgomery, 6. Tied with Dave Brown. Dave Brown, 6 for the week. Way to go, buddy. And then number 1 agency owner for the week, Alec Myers. So good job, my man. 7 licensed recruits for the week. Agency directors, that is an agency owner that has an agency owner. Okay. Greg and Leanne Hassman had 6 for the week. Jerry Choate, 6 for the week. Joe Chimu, 7 for the week. Good job, Joe. Roddy, Jessica Jessup, 8. Larry and Ann Griffin, my upline, forever uplines. Larry brought me into business a long time ago. Larry and Ann Griffin, 28 for the week. So way to go. Rad and above, that is an agency owner that has at least 2 agency owners direct to them or more and above, right? So for the week on the Rad and above side, yours truly, Sean Shannon, 26 we have for the week. Jamie, Susie, and Corey Niedaber, 27 for the week. Sarah and Jared Reineke, 29, all while I think they were both in Italy. That's pretty amazing stuff. Great job. Ryan and Michelle Miller, also in Italy, 36 for the week. And this guy ripping and running. Couldn't happen to a better person, man. Jacob Pogue, way to go, buddy. 68 licensed recruits for the week. That's awesome. So that may seem daunting to some of you guys too, to be like, dang, how in the world? I got to get one, right? It does. The journey of 1,000 miles starts with that first step. It's getting that first one. And then it's getting them excited about building too. So recruiting leaderboards, these are individuals that directly recruited to themselves. Let's see what we got. Top 10, Alec Myers with 2. Trevor Williams, what's up, Trev? 3. Rich O, good job, buddy. 3. Emily Rhodes, look at that. Emily on the Wayland leaderboard with 3. Christian Eves with 3. Carlito Gonzalez with 3 as well. Good job, buddy. Sue Adams, 4. Steve Montgomery with 4. Amber Powell, way to go, Amber, 4. Joe Anderson and Jill Johnson, 4. So we had we had like a first, second, and third place there. So for the week. So way to go, y'all. Weekly totals. Wayland hierarchy, 155 recruits for the week ending March 28th. That is awesome. 468 recruits total for the month, almost 500. for the week. 1,100, over 1,100 families protected, protected by 511 writers. Um, those with the most writers got the keys to the kingdom, right? Just under 1.4 million, 1.386 million for the week. So we got lots of events coming up. This is a biggie here. This one, only 130 speaking agent training. So you guys want to go learn from the best of the best of the best? We'll go to where the best of the best of the best are speaking. So Burbank, California. I think it's right by Burbank Airport. April 12th. So it is coming up in the next few days. If you know somebody in Southern California, heck, Northern California, Arizona, Nevada, whatever, anywhere near there, anywhere with a direct flight to Burbank Airport, you should get them to go. April 19th, corporate overview, San Antonio, Texas. There we go. That's the first time I've seen that one. So I got definitely some folks to get there. That's awesome stuff. Sarah Gonzalez, Gutierrez, and Joe G. Good job. Advanced Markets Boot Camp coming up in May, end of May, May 28th to the 30th in Orlando. Everything's always nice in Orlando. Love that. You would know if you're on this one, you know you're going to Portugal at this point. So, but AmAm trip to Portugal coming up in June, Hartford Boot Camp. This one's exciting because they got some epic pizza there. I think it's is it in Hartford or is it in New Haven? I thought it was in New Haven, but awesome stuff there. And then Park City, Utah Transamerica Conference coming up. So you'd know that one too. So I think that's what we got, right? So, all right. So everybody put a 10 in the chat if if you want to hit your promotions, right? We got a lot of 10s coming in there, right? So now we got a 10, 10, 10. Somebody threw in a 10, 10, 10 with exclamations. They got all kinds of stuff. You got some crazy video game 10 in there. So everybody wants to do that, right? Is there like a lot of mystery to it? Is it one of those things? Now, if you hit the metrics, do you get the promotion? That's the big question. If you hit the metrics, right? Do you get the promotion? Put a yes in the chat if you think that yes, you get the promotion if you hit the metrics. So there we go. Yes, you do. You give yourself a promotion. That is the craziest thing ever, right? So what's the problem with that though? The problem is you got to give yourself the promotion. That's where it gets difficult. It gets tough, right? So we're going to go through that today. And really, I'm honored for the folks I'm going to be bringing on that are going to be sharing and kind of pouring into you guys. So just kind of giving you guys really more than anything else. This is something that always impacted me is when I would go to an event or I would jump on a call and somebody shared and they said, okay, do you want to know how to get to where I am? And I'd be like, yes. And they'd be like, I did this, and this thing. And I'd be like, okay, I can do that. And then I would do those things. And then magically you just start getting the results. It's like if you do what successful people do, you get what they have. Like that's as simplistic as I can make it seem. That's really what happened. So, all right, my first guest, bring her on. Top producer, agency owner extraordinaire. She was number 1 personal producer in all the entire Shannon Master in 20, I think 20, might have been 23 and 24. But ripping and running, has a lot of great, exciting momentum going on with team now. But top producer, Courtney Wallace. You out there, Court?
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you. How are you?
Yay, I'm good. How are you?
I'm tremendous. So, just got back from the Italy trip, right? So let's make everybody jealous. Well, including myself. What was the coolest thing, or the best thing, or the best food, or the best whatever that you experienced when you were in Italy?
Yeah, so definitely the food is the best. I mean, there wasn't a bad meal. I love cannolis and they had fantastic cannolis. So
Nice, nice. I love that. I love that. I saw that's one thing I saw as I was, looking on the old social media, checking out everybody's posts from Italy. I think I saw more food posts than anything else. I saw some smiles on, everybody getting together, having the fellowship, and saw the food. So that's a fun, food, and fellowship. I guess the three F's. I love that. So all right. So Courtney, today's topic is promotions. Okay. When I say promotions, stuff like that, what comes to mind for you?
When I think promotions, the first word that pops into my head is growth. I
Okay.
think, I think growth, I think more money, I think more time, I think more freedom, I think more happiness, discomfort, right? Discomfort comes with it. Those are
Yeah.
some things that I think of.
Growth is often a painful thing, right? So what are some kind of like, let's just riff on it. What are some All right, so you said, let me go back. All right, you said growth, you said happiness, right? So I love
Mhm.
that. So happiness and getting a promotion, a little celebration time, little all that kind of stuff. You think a little bit of pain, mixed in there, right? Um, let's talk about growth. What kind of growth is necessary, or are you just saying that when you hit a promotion, you've grown, like you've grown your income or you've grown things? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so I'd say I know what you were going there, going towards, but I think it's both, right? So like you have grown, but you're going through a growth process. So the person that you are today is not going to get you where you need to be, 6 months from now, right? And so, I think it's, they talk about working on yourself and working on your business. And I think when I think growth, it's like, I look at these promotions and it's like the Jack Canfield, the success principles, you got to play the part, right? How does somebody who is at that next contract level or the top of the company, how do they think? How do they speak? What do they do? What do they say? How do they handle adversity? Right. And that's, progressing into that individual is that growth that you experience.
Yeah. So, all right. So playing the part, right? What are some things maybe along the way, where you started to play the part, or you also said how do people at higher levels handle adversity, right? Um, what has your progression on handling things like adversity? What does that look like? Maybe kind of sharing.
I know you're laughing over there because you know how
We
I
all,
used
we all
to.
go through it. Yeah, we all go through that. So go ahead.
Still am. Adversity sucks. Like, I mean, I wish it wasn't there, right? But I think it gives you perspective, right? So it's like success, I feel like, isn't defined by, how you're responding to things when everything's going smoothly, right? And it's roses and peaches. It's how do you handle adversity, right? How do you get over those speed bumps? I think over the past several years I've been here, I think that was probably one of the larger areas of growth that had to happen for me, because sales is emotional stability, right? And you can't let things kind of pull you off a path, especially when you're going for promotion, right? And so I think it all really kind of starts with setting those clear expectations of like, you know what, if I'm going for this promotion, like I know that there's going to be challenges. I know that there's going to be adversity and I'm going to be tested. Right. And I think just using the power of like growth and development, what you're reading, what you're listening to, what events you're going to, and constantly trying to pull yourself up so you can get past, right, those kind of like hiccups and speed bumps.
Yeah, and I think too, sometimes it's just the pace at which you accept the inevitable, like that a challenge is necessary to get what you want. And so, because sometimes too, it's like that adversity like knocks people out. Like we see, have any of you, and everybody can put a 10 in the chat. Has anybody on your team ever quit after their first dial session? Right? Or have you thought about quitting after your first dial session? Definitely put a 10 in the chat. If you guys have ever experienced something like that. And most of us have experienced it, and we've personally experienced it, right? So, but um, it's that overarching understanding that you're talking about there, where you're like, okay, well, um, it's inevitable that I have to push through this pain that I don't like, right? So, now playing the part, what does that mean exactly? Because you said Jack Canfield talks about it in Success Principles. Definitely a tip for you guys to read that one. But what does that mean?
Yeah. I mean, you got to fake it till you make it. So you got like, I think curiosity is key. right? So it's understanding that if you know that growth has to happen and you have to figure out, right, is like, where are you going? Like, what does that destination look like? Who is there? And then kind of really just becoming obsessed with, just the mentality, right, of an individual, right, that is, where you want to be. And trying to, it's like Marshall says, best copycat wins. Right. So when you're playing the part, you're really trying to step into that other version of you, and it may feel authentic because you're not there yet. Right. But the more that you identify, right, with that other version of you that, you're chasing, the quicker it's gonna, happen.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's I think a lot of you guys might have heard it too as all the world's a stage, right? So it's like you just start to act like the person you want to become as opposed to the person that you are currently, right? So if you're striving towards, like because a lot of times too, if you want to get something you've never gotten, right? Maybe even you never got a promotion anywhere, right? Who knows? But if that's the case, then you kind of have to become a person you've never been. And that's hard because everybody's great and everybody's wonderful and it's amazing, but it's the necessity of the growth that takes place to allow you to create the reality you want to live in, right? So all right. So you talked about happiness. So in hitting a promotion, what does that mean?
Well, that's the easy part, right? That's the celebration. I think everybody could agree on here that being broke sucks. Not getting promoted sucks. Just stress in general, right? Like if you're stressed, in your business, it can sometimes cause stress at home, and those things aren't fun, right? But everybody, I'm not going to say money, should say money doesn't create happiness, but I don't care what anybody says, it fixes a lot of things. It can alleviate a lot of tension and a lot of stress, in your life. And so being promotion focused, right, allows you to really kind of scale your income, right? And allows you to kind of get out of that. Like I reminded myself all the time, it was like for a season, right? It was like if I stay promotion focused, I was going to get there, right? And like the money troubles were going to go away, right? Or some of the stress or the burden was going to be kind of like lifted off my shoulders. And so, when we talk about happiness, right, it's just being able to step into that version of you and be able to live a life that you want to, right? And something you deserve.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and that's so what are some tips? All right. So let's bring it down,
Yes.
because we're talking more about the emotional side of it, which is hard. Dealing with pain and adversity is not easy, but it's necessary, right? I would argue those, people that are the most successful, whether it's monetarily or, relationally or physically or whatever, like they typically face more adversity than others, and they don't get taken out by little things. It's how do you minimize some of those things? The thing that used to take you out completely, now it only takes you out for a week. Or the thing that took you out for a week before, now it takes you out only a day. Or the thing that took a whole day and ruined it for you, now it only ruins 5 seconds of your time. And it's like,
Right.
and that's how you become like a titan, especially in this business. So now, what are some tips though? What do you got?
Yeah. I mean, I'd say three really important pieces. These might sound a little direct, so just bear with me. But three tips I'd say is like you first have to make the decision, right? So like you can't make any progress without making a decision. So like if you have commitment issues, you either A, need to figure it out, or B, find another business, because you're going to get stuck, right? And it's like we make commitments here and we grow along the journey. So I think that that decision is really, really important. The second thing too is feelings don't get you promoted. To sound very not kind, but we don't work because we feel like it, right? This is very selfless business. And feeling like it doesn't pay your bills. So it's not going to get you promoted either, right? So, when we make a commitment, right, and we want to get promoted and we're striving for something, we do it until it's done, right? I think there's a lot of like when we work for ourselves sometimes, I think there can be some of that like oh, I'll do it later, right? Or oh, I'll do it next time. Or right, it's like you kind of you let yourself off a little bit. And I think it's just, yes, it's going to be there's going to be discomfort, there's going to be pain, there's going to be frustration, you're going to fall down, you're going to go backwards before you go forward. It's all supposed to be like that. Right? So it's understanding and setting those right expectations of, it doesn't, I don't feel like doing this. Like I don't feel like going to the gym, but I also don't feel like being 600 pounds either. So it's like, right. So it's like, you got to kind of like choose right where your actions are. And I'd say the third thing is you want to be a practitioner, right? Like not a theorist, right? So it's like the whole getting ready to get ready, the whole the theory of getting promoted and talking about it but doing nothing about it, right? So and I've been there where I have committed mentally with getting a whole bunch of planners and organizing my office and saying that I'm going to actually go and do it, but then when it came to execution, right, it wasn't there. And if you don't back it, you don't get promoted, right? And so I think it can sound really good, but if you're really not focused on the actioned items, right, is like you're never going to get good. Um, I get asked a lot, like, with getting good at sales or how do you get better? It's literally just time and activity, right? Like, how fast can you make 1,000 mistakes? Right? How many times can you get hung up on in a day? Right? Like those are things that like I literally I know that they're part of it. I focus on, and it's like because the faster I get through all that, the faster I get good. And I think it just is setting the right expectations for yourself and really just heavy and hard on execution. You're gonna get coaching, you're going to get guidance, and you're going to get training as long as you're doing the things. You don't have to be great, right? But it's like if you, like you said, Sean, it was like when I first started, how do you get promoted? Present to 10 as fast as you can, right? That's got to get that out of the way. And then you got to keep the repetition, right? 10, minimum of 10 presentations a week, 10 presentations a week. And you dial until, right? There is no, you don't get a badge for 100 dials a day. I'm so sick of seeing that. Like, oh, I did 100 dials in a day. Like, I like doesn't matter. I don't care if you did five. I don't care if you did 100, 500. I care about the result of like where you're going. If you say that you're going to do something, you want to be somebody that does it. Right? It's like so many times we come to these meetings or we do these things because it's like we're looking for a like little badge, right? And it's like it's you got to be committed to your goal. You got to share it publicly. You got to tell people where you're going, and then you don't stop until you like achieve it, right? And it's there's a lot of things too. I'd argue like just even in your personal, right? Like your personal life, your work life, right? It's like you want to be continuously striving and getting promoted at home, like getting your wins at home, getting your wins in this business. And not everything, has that visibility of like it's the deposit in the account or this or that, right? It's like it is measured by, the freedom that you have, the happiness that you have, your energy and things like that. So I don't want it to sound like I'm saying just like work, work, work and do like absolutely, nothing else. Because if you're not happy at home, odds are you're not going to be happy here, right? You got to fill that cup to fill this cup. So it is kind of, that balance. You want to show up as your best self, but it's, you got to really kind of look in the truth mirror and say, am I somebody who says that, like, if they say they're going to do something, do I actually do it? Do I even believe, not even just believe in this business, but do I actually believe that if I say that I'm going to do something, that I'll figure out how to do it,
Yeah.
you know? Because most
Yeah.
people I feel like don't.
Yeah. And I think too, I something I wanted to throw out there too, and I think as you were talking about this, has actually made a lot of sense. Wins and losses are disproportionate here, right? So a win is like making a sale and getting a deposit. If but you need more losses to get a win. So it's kind of like this. If you lost $1,000 every time you didn't get a sale, like that would be like, whoa, holy cow. Like that would be there, that'd be proportionate because you earn about $1,000 or so, right? We'll say you make a sale. So it's like, okay, but how many of those, those failures do you have to go through to get to the yes, right? Because if they were, or if wins were insignificant, like you would get $1 when you make a sale, well, then everybody would be like, this is really not that exciting. I'm not going to do this because it's too much pain to be able to benefit from, right? Because, you know, if you're all right, it's kind of like Major League Baseball. And we might divide the room a little bit here, but if you're a 300 hitter in Major League Baseball, you go to the Hall of Fame. That means you fail 70% of the time. So I need everybody to understand it. In sales, it's the same thing. The people that are most successful in sales, they've failed more times than anybody else. They presented to more people, they've had more people say no, more doors slammed in their face, more get out of here, more hangups, more any of those things. But that's why the wins are disproportionate, because you're like, oh, those other things are insignificant by comparison to who I'm becoming, because I'm becoming like Teflon to life, right? Because it actually helps you in all aspects of life too. So, Court, you got some exciting things going on with your team right now too. A lot of people going after promotions, lots of new writers, lots of building, lots of things like that. So definitely growth, promotions on the horizon. But in particular, you got a rock star who's ripping and running, going after his agency owner. Isn't that right?
I do. I do. I have a fantastic individual who actually back-to-back promotions. I think just unofficially is about to get promoted again this month, and is on his AO run, which is very, very exciting to be a part of and see. And just I learn so much from him every day. So I'm really excited for him to be on with us.
Nice.
Mr. Joel, are you there?
What's going on? What's up?
Oh my goodness. Hi. It's been so long. Just kidding.
I know, right?
I love it. I love it. And I love your commitment to that background too. Let me tell you.
I'm telling you. Can I do something real quick before we go into questions or anything?
Are you going to give me a funny background?
No, no, no. I was just
Oh.
gonna say, hey, everybody that is in the running for contract 85, contract 90, or contract 95, you're still in those slingshot moments. Put a 1 in the chat. I heard it on a call recently. We're not at the bottom, we're at the beginning. Look at all those 1s, everybody. I'm gonna be talking to all of you here in a moment. But all right, go ahead, Courtney.
I love it. Look, they're still going. Yay. It's exciting. I feel like what is the terminology, is it the slingshot still? Did you shat yourself? Is that what that is?
What?
Never mind. Never mind. We'll come back. We'll come back. The terminology. But anyway, we're going to talk about you. We're going to talk about all the good things that you've got happening. I am so proud of you. You're going to say this a million times, but just your leadership, your excitement, your enthusiasm, and just your level up. Like, you have progressed so much. Like, I don't even know what happened. It was like you woke up one day and you were just like, you know what? I'm gonna do the damn thing, and I'm going for it. And it just you've been going ever since. And so just tell us a little bit just about like what the heck is just going on with you, your team, your promotions. What do you got rolling?
Got you. Okay. A lot to unpack there, but okay. So to kind of just speak to all the up and comers, right? Whether that be up and coming leaders, whether that be up and coming, producers in a way, right? I quite frankly had a little truth mirror moment about 6 months in. Shout out to Marshall on that one for kind of setting me straight a little bit. But it's one of those things where I would say probably in my first 6 months, I did enough. If you guys can relate with that, put a 2 in the chat. I did enough, right? And then it wasn't until I realized I wanted to level up. I wanted to get to the next spot. Went to conference, life-changing event. If you guys haven't gone, if you guys haven't bought your ticket, what are you doing? By all means, do so. But in its own, went to conference, got out of conference. I was so fired up. I was so ready to get it going. You know what's the first thing I realized, Courtney? I kind of sucked. Like I was like, I'm leaving conference. I'm doing this many dials a day. I'm going. The first thing I realized, the moment I hit triple digits on a dial after conference, I was like, man, I don't remember 100 calls taking this long. Quite frankly, this is kind of rough. And it literally got to the point where I was like, I was on such a mission to level up that I was like, I'm just going to do whatever in the world it takes. to get to that next step. Like, how many of you guys that are in the chat that type those ones and those twos, how many of you guys want this next 365 days to be the best 365 days that there are? Right? I see in a bunch of ones in there, a bunch of me's, a bunch of yes. But how many of you guys are literally on that mindset of, I got to do this or my life is ruined? Because Courtney says it all the time, get comfortable being uncomfortable. But it's like, hey, I need to do this or my life is over. My life is ruined. That's the mindset that I was in. And it literally turned into one of those situations where started doing $100 a day or $150 a day. And I was like, this is rough, but I got to get good at this. Matter of fact, I still remember, Courtney, I don't know if you remember this, election day, I decided to go vote during my dial session. That ended up meaning that now I'm dialing at 11 o'clock at night to other time zones because I still hadn't finished my minimum amount of dials that I set for myself for the day. And Courtney literally just sat there watching the elections with me in Zoom while I dialed. Because it was like, I got to do whatever I got to do to get good. And then the domino effect. Now I got good at dials. Well, guess what, guys? I sucked at setting appointments. I found that out. The more activity you do, the more you see those little kinks that we got to kind of work on. Now I got good at setting appointments. Guess what? Now I got people showing up for appointments. I got to work on my sales. So I literally, I might have spent maybe like a month or two of hardcore just reinventing myself, just fully trusting the system, fully submitting to the system and going from there. And then once I hit that level where it's like, hey, I'm getting a hang of this, then at that point, I hardcore went into, now that I've been through it, I know the system works. Let me now show my team how to do the same things I did. And it's wild when you submit yourself to the system. It's wild when you literally just kind of put that all or nothing mindset, how quickly stuff kind of changes. Right. And I know I kind of went on a spiel a little there, but that's just for all my 85, 90, 95 runners that are out there. Like you're literally just at the beginning. Don't forget that. Go ahead. Ask me a question. Sorry. I could talk here for hours.
No, I love it. And I'd love to. I was like reading the comments here that Kyle said, I like this guy. I was smiling about it. So awesome. No, but all of the things that you said are so true. And it's been crazy to kind of watch that level up from my perspective. And I'm like, man, I wish you could see it. But I would add too in the beginning, right? And I think that you will remember this. You were saying all the right things, right? So you were telling me that you wanted to get your promotions, right? You're going to hit the ground running. You're going to do all of these things. You're showing up to the meetings. And then you had this, like, it was kind of like, it was like Superman, right? Where you knew what to say and you weren't being vulnerable, right? You weren't kind of letting me into the struggles. Everything was fine, right? Oh, it's good. It's fine. Everything's fine. Yep. I'm just, or in your words, you know, quote unquote, I'm just chilling. It's all good. Right. And there was a point where that kind of shifted and you began to actually like reach up and reach out. How has that impacted like your journey, your ability to get promoted, help other people, all the things?
Honestly, that's probably one of the biggest things that I'll recommend to everybody. Be open, be vulnerable with your upline, your mentors. Like one thing that too many people don't realize, the people that are where you want to be have been through what you're going through. Too many people forget that. I had that little ego or the I go, you know, kind of stuck to me a little bit every time. Hey, are you okay? I'm chilling. My house could have been burning. It's like, oh, I'm good. Don't worry about it. I don't want to bother you, etc. Right. But then from there, it's like, it's wild how you start building relationships with your mentors once you actually open up to them. And quite frankly, guys, not for nothing, but if we got any struggle going on, how much easier is it when somebody says, oh, bro, I've been through that. Just do this. Instead of just sitting there trying to figure it out, trying to, you know, go against the ocean, so to speak. right? That's why, quite frankly, this might sound a little bit preaching, but guys, those 4 cornerstones, those 4 keys, live, breathe, study those, preach those. There's a reason why, for example, under association line number 1 says, learn to build relationships with those who are where you want to be. You want to be a great producer? Cool. How many 20K, 30K a month agents do you talk to every day? You want to be a great leader, a great builder? Awesome. How many 130s have you reached out to in the last 3 months? Let that sink in, guys. Intentionality is everything, but we literally, and I'm pointing here because I got it literally printed and posted on my wall. We literally have guidelines, bullet points saying you want to be successful, follow these 4 things. You want to have a great week in sales, follow these 4 things. But do we want it bad enough to where our mindset is, if I don't make this work, it's over? Go ahead. Sorry, I can go into preach.
No,
Yeah.
you're doing fantastic. I think and a lot of what you're saying is like, it's like such a blessing, right? There's the gratitude of like, man, we don't have to figure out the business, right? It is really is a business in a box. We have guidelines that tell us like how to get to that next level, right? The riddle is trying to figure out, what does that mean to you, right? What are the resources, the activity, the system, the schedule, right? Like, what are you going to have to implement in each of those categories to get to the next piece, right? But I think that there's a difference between complaining, right, and asking for feedback, right, or being vulnerable and sharing, right? And I think that's kind of that fine line, right, where there's always going to be times where you have frustrations in the business, right, especially going for promotion, right? Promotions, anytime you're achieving, right, there's that growth, but it's that piece of like, you know what, I'm being solution oriented, right? I'm gonna stick it out till I figure it out. And I'm sharing vulnerably, not because I'm here to complain. I'm not okay with where I am. It's uncomfortable and I want to get better, right? I'm looking for feedback. I'm looking for guidance, right? It's like you don't like, I'm big into the gym. So you hear me going back and forth at the gym, but it's like, then Joelle, you can agree with me on this, I'm sure. It's like, you don't go to the gym, right? And you're like, man, I'm the skinniest human being in the whole entire world, and I'm fit and I'm this and I'm that and I love myself and I don't need to go, but I'm just gonna go. Like, that's not what you say to yourself. You go to the gym, right? A lot of times because you've identified something that you're uncomfortable with, right? Maybe it's just your, your mental health, right? It could be a physical health, it could be a physical appearance, but you do it because you're okay with looking in the mirror and saying, I need to make a change. And I think that's where it comes, is like, if you're stuck right now, right? Or you're uncomfortable, it's like, are you willing to actually do the first thing and look in the mirror and admit where you are and admit that it's uncomfortable, and then make a choice to make a change? Right. And I think that's that's a hard thing to do. Right.
I love to add to that. So I actually, at the beginning of the year, and that's really where things kind of started changing for me, I saw a quote. It was like on Instagram, like at 10 o'clock at night, couldn't sleep. One of those moments. I'm just scrolling and I saw a quote that said, is there anything that you don't like about your life? Anything. The car you drive, the house you live in, how much free time you have, how much you're earning, like what level have you reached? Is there anything that you don't like about your life? Then change it. Like, it's wild. It's wild to think about. It's wild to even consider it to be that simple. Change it. Change it. And I'll throw a couple numbers at you guys because I'm a big numbers guy, right? So we mentioned $100 a day earlier. So let me give you guys some math here. $150 a week. We know people that do that. Sometimes we've been guilty ourselves of doing that. $150 a week. $150 a week is going to take you about a year and a half to get to $8,000. Now, I want you to consider that as a year and a half of struggling, a year and a half of a learning curve, a year and a half of trying to figure it out. How many people want to do that for a year and a half? Real talk. I don't know many that would, or I don't know many that would actually last that long doing so, quite frankly. But 150 a day will get you to 8,000 dials in 8 weeks. So every time that I talk to, let's say, for example, a new person on my team, or every time I'm doing an interview, I straight up ask them, I'm like, hey, do you want to have this figured out by summer 2026, or do you want to have it figured out by June? Pick one. But I need you to understand that you're also picking your work ethic, because work ethic in this business is the difference between barely paying your bills and paying off a house. And that's what it really comes down to. It's that work ethic. It's the hustle. It's doing what we got to do to get better. And we mentioned this, you guys were talking about this earlier. It's like, hey, like, what does it feel like to hit that new level? Guys, that new level is a new baseline. Like, not for nothing. Let's say, for example, if you guys want to become 5,000 a month agents, and I'm talking right here to individuals that are going from 80 to 85. Very important that you know your promotions. If you guys are trying to get to 5,000 a month agents, be the 5,000 a month agent. Act, behave like a 5,000 a month agent. If you guys want to be 7,500, if you guys want to be 12,500, 15,000, 20,000, you want to go for elite producer. Let me put it to you this way. Simple math. Let's say I set 5 appointments. Maybe only 2 of them show up and I sell 1. Does that equal 8 sales a week? Somebody hit me with a yes or no in the chat. Let that sink in. Does that math, 5 appointments, 2 show up, we sell 1. Does that equal 8 sales a week? Because as far as I'm concerned, that math is simple. But yet, how many of us look at that math and say, maybe next week? When we really should be looking at that math and be like, okay, if that's your closure, let's multiply. I tell my group all the time, 20 appointments minimum on a weekly basis, showing pricing to 10 minimum on a weekly basis. If you do that, it's hard not to sell every week. We'll talk. Actually difficult. But how many of us know this math, understand this math, but still like that mindset of this needs to work or I'm screwed? Why is that mindset not there? Right. And we're talking even like, let's say, for example, running buddies, right? Whether it be being open with your agency owner, your upline, your mentor, like me and Courtney here, or whether it be, for example, being open with, let's say, another agent that's running at the same time with you. Shout out to my boy, Zach Luckenbill out there, where it's just like, hey, we're sitting down, we're showing all the numbers, and it's like, hey, you keep me accountable, I keep you accountable. We're going to track on a weekly basis. I'm talking about to the point that, no joke, me and Zach will meet every single week, same time. And it's like, hey, what's your APV? What's your net placed? How many apps have you sold? How many appointments have you set? Where's your closure at? How much have you spent in leads this month? What are your monthly dials at? What is your dial per sale ratio equal? Because that's something that I like to track. It's like, hey, I take my total number of dials, I divide it by my number of sales. Right now, to give you guys an example, for the month, I am at 150 dials per sale on average. 150.6 to be exact. How deliberate are you guys to making this work?
Can I pause you for a second?
Go for it. Go for it, please, because I can keep going.
No, well, you're saying great things. You're talking about tracking, right? And the power of like knowing your numbers. Did anybody force you to do that?
I did. That's the only person that could.
Right. And you had to, and you had to figure it out, right? It was like, okay, you want to get promoted. That means I have to know where I'm starting, right? When we track the numbers, it's like, okay, where am I at? It's a truth mirror again. It pops up, right? It's like, okay, here's the theory of what I think I'm doing. And then this is what I'm actually doing. right? And then there comes that extra layer of accountability, right? Where it's, are you sharing it with your upline, right? Like, are you collaborating? Collaboration is huge, right? Do you have that cross line buddy, right? And are you doing the things necessary to really kind of make the change, right? Understand the numbers and the metrics, right? It's kind of like that no one's coming to save you, right? It's like you got to figure it out. It's like figuring it out is hard, but not getting promoted is hard too. So which one do you want? You're going to figure out your numbers, get better at it, learn Excel, right? Or learn how to do this or learn how to do that, right? It's like you kind of, you choose your heart along the way.
And you know what's wild? Because kind of like you were saying, promotions are awesome. By all means, nobody likes to be broke, right? Put a one in the chat if you guys want to get paid as much as possible per sale. We're not even talking extra sales, as much as possible per sale. And everybody look at the chat while I say this next part. Aiming for a promotion is nice. We get paid more. What really happens is you evolve when you hit that promotion. Because again, kind of like what I was saying earlier, I started off by, hey, I want to be a 5,000 a month agent for sure. And then it's like the next promotion. Okay, 7,500. I want to be an agent that writes 7,500 in a month. Right. And then as you go from there, it's like, okay, well, it's wild, but I promise y'all, if I sell 7,500 in a month right now, what am I doing? Like, was I asleep half the month? It's wild, but once you raise the bar, there is no excuses. And I've been told that a lot by a special someone out there. There is no excuses, guys. Like once you set the goals, once you set the limit, once you're in that situation where it's like, hey, I am now a minimum of 15,000 a month agent. I'm now a minimum of 20,000 a month agent. Your bars will be set so high that now you're leading from the front. Like, guys, part of the reason why hope is so strong, and let me give you guys this great analogy that I love. We're all in the ocean of life insurance. We all know we got to get to land. There's a storm coming. We all know, not rocket science. Grab the